Hello friends, welcome. This is Jason here with another Studio One tip. This actually applies to all DAWs, and the idea is how do you edit audio when you record it? Audio that needs a little editing of some kind. Well, there are basic audio editing tools, and there's a toolbar right up here. Most DAWs will have their audio editing tools somewhere in the tools menu. The multi-tool up here, that's what this is in Studio One. There's actually 3 different parts to it. And a quick explanation here, there's the arrow tool. And if you let your mouse just kind of hang out, there's a range tool. It tells you upper event and a range tool number 2. So what that means is I actually, if I move my mouse around, I end up with, here is an arrow more towards the bottom. And I have this really enlarged here. Then it goes from an arrow to cross, if you will, crosshairs. And then as you go to the top, there we go, we get the pointer or the hand. So what does all of this mean? Well, if I'm using the arrow, I can grab things, move them left, right, down to another track, whatever. So it's letting me slip things back and forth. If, and that these are bars or measures, and it's also called an event or an audio event. When I am here in the middle of the waveform, I can literally draw and say, I just want to work on this part, which is measure 2 and 3. Well, I've just selected that. So say I just want to copy that part. Then I can use my simple right click and copy. I like to use my shortcut keys. You can go to copy, Control C, same as if a word processing program like Microsoft Word will have the same shortcuts. Those are part of this multi cursor or multi-selection tool. And as I go up all the way to the top, there's a hand or a finger here. So let me just click to get out of that. There we go. And if I go all the way up here, I got the hand here, and I click and hold and I pull down or I pull up, I don't even necessarily have to grab this box here. It doesn't have to be there, okay? But if I pull down or up, it tells me if I am boosting or attenuating, turning down the signal, and how many decibels I'm doing this. So, and I'm doing it just to this event, so you can see the waveform really move around there. So that's a quick way to gain stage a single event too. And again, all you have to do is make sure you have the hand and the finger. And right now it tells you what the difference is from top to bottom here. So 0.1 is where I'm at there, and I've turned it up 1.5, and let me bring it back down. There's 0, just to give an example there. Those are the 3 different modes, and then there's a split tool here, and I like to try them all. So I've made a file, and I actually didn't make it. I made the marker track and the arranger track, which are here. There's the arranger track. Here is the marker track. If you haven't used a marker track, it's where you really want to start using, especially if you're going to take your audio and put it with video, or if you need cues for anything. Say you need to lay out the form of a piece of music, the intro, the verse, the chorus, and I use it, of course, for a different reason, as you could see here. So each one of these I'm going to show you how to do. Let's dive in. Where did I get this file? Well, I did not play this in. I went to the loops menu here in Studio One. This came with Studio One. I just grabbed one that sounded great. So I did not record this. I grabbed a loop that was included with the DAW. Most DAWs will have included loops with them, and there's great places you can go to download royalty-free loops to use and to play with and have fun with. Okay, so that's what that is. I just copied it over and over again. Here it is. How do I boost it? I'm going to stay on my multi-tool. Again, I'm going to go to the very top, click and hold, pull up. And I'm going to pull up to 3 dB. And yeah, sometimes you got to go slow, okay, and sometimes you don't. There we go. That is definitely one way to do it. So with everything we're doing, there's always many ways, but that's, quick and easy if you're good with a mouse. Now, this one I want to attenuate 3 decibels, and you can already see some of the differences in the waveforms. So on this one, I'm going to go to the very top, and let's see, this one I'm turning down. So -3. And why -3? Well, read in the audiobooks, they'll talk about that as being something that people will recognize as a change in level. It's a perception. And we won't get into the psychoacoustics philosophies right now, but if you'd like to go check that out, please do so. Not everybody can hear a 1 decibel difference, for example, but you can definitely hear a 3 decibel difference, at least on average. Mute, what does that mean? Well, that's actually what looks like a old megaphone, and it has a cross through it, or a strike through it, and it says mute tool. So you literally click on that, you click on the event, that event is still there. So say you might want to come back to it, or maybe you don't, I don't know. And then it's muted, done. Okay, fade in and fade out. Let's move on. What this means, I got to get back to my multi-tool over here. If I want to fade in, there are these little arrow handles on each side, on the left side and on the right side. Now, oftentimes I need to zoom way in when I do this as well. So I like to use my zoom here, and you can use control plus or minus as well, or command plus and minus. So zooming in will help you be a little more exact with, there we go. And notice now that I pulled on the right side on my fade out, I also get a little linear in the middle where I can pull it up or down to decide the curve, basically. Now, here is a fade in, and sometimes that's good to do, especially if you've got multiple instruments and multiple things going on, and there's a space in there where nothing's going on. So you may need to cut out completely things and then fade in, fade out. It'll also eliminate any popping type of sounds, and it's an important tool to be able to use. So you would fade out one sample that would then go into the next sample that would be faded in. Crossfading is what that's called, and that's another pretty easy thing to do. There's fade in right there, and I can really get, if I want to work with dynamics a little bit, I can do something really wild like this. Okay, notice how I faded in, and then over here I can fade it out just like that. But I also could turn the whole thing down or the whole thing up or whatever. That's this part here, fading in and fading out. And again, that's the linear versus exponential type of fade. All right, that's a little too much for me though. There we go. Next is trim. Well, how do I trim this? And I could go to the left side. I could trim it this way. Say I only wanted the last couple bars. Well, there we go. But I'm going to trim it the other way, which is usually what I want to say. I don't want the whole loop, or I just want a piece of it. Okay, so I'm going to go grab it, and I see the arrows change there. And I'm going to pull it. Now that's only one measure. I want two. A measure is a bar. So we got measure 28 or 27 and 28. That gives us 2 bars. There we go. And that gives me the 2 bars of the loop that I wanted. Now maybe, just so you know in the future, maybe you wanted the middle 2 portions of that loop. Well, there you go. You trim on both sides then. And then if you're down here on the bottom with the arrow, you could pull it over and slip it into place. Now, again, shame on me. I don't want that. So look how fast. And the goal is to get fast at these kinds of edits. Going on. Split. Yeah, let's get out the knife. I've seen scissors used as well in DAWs, which is great. Everything I'm doing is to the grid. And grid meaning I've got my quantizing set, and I actually over here have snap on. If I didn't have snap on, it's going to let me very smoothly do chops and cuts wherever I want. And that's not bad, but it is if everything's already mapped to the grid, and mine is, and I want to be very specific. So I want to make sure that is on. There's my cut. Audio and video software use these types of tools. I've seen everything, like I said, from scissors to a knife to a razor blade as an icon. So it's there to split or cut things. Now, I just made 1, 2, 3, 4 single events or audio events. That way when I click on them, say I really like this, but right here, I want to be able to transpose that chord. Well, let's move on to the next one. I'll show you. So to transpose up a perfect fifth, again, there are many ways to do it. I simply right click, and there is transpose right here. And there's some other ways to do that as well. If you don't know, each number is a half step. So if I'm going up, if I want to go up a half step, that would be 1. If I want to go down, that would be -1. If I want to go up what's called a perfect fifth, and a perfect fifth doesn't mean 5. It doesn't mean 5 half steps. It actually means more than that. So it has 7 in all, what's called 7 half steps. Transpose up, I have to hit OK. And now that's going to sound like it is up a perfect fifth, which used 7 half steps. Move over. This one, transpose down, right click. This time, when I transpose, I want to do negative 12. That's 12 half steps down, which is going to be what's called an octave lower. Time stretching. How do I time stretch? There's many, many ways. One of the easiest ways is right click again. There's a speed up function. It's on 1 right now. So if I want to speed things up, do I need to go higher or lower? Well, if I say 2, it's going to go the wrong way. So what do I do if I want to have it and make it actually time stretch and slow it down? I need to do 0.5, right? And what that will do, here, let me kind of move over here and zoom a little bit. There we go. That will stretch that into 8 bars. And that's a fun way to take something and slow it down. Or if you have a crescendo or a suspended cymbal that you're trying to time out just right and it's just not quite long enough, well, don't worry. All you got to do is time stretch it. Another way to do it is to click and hold your mouse and smoothly move like this, like I'm doing right now. And that is a great little tool to use. Back to that, little symbol thing that I talked about as an example. Okay, going on. Time stretch into 2 bars. We're going the other way. This is different than slipping the measures and getting just what you want. This time, I'm actually time stretching and speeding this up. So I'm taking something that was going on at 85 as my tempo, and it's going to go twice as fast now. And I'm going to take what it did in 4 measures, and it will play that in 2 measures now. The original sounds like this. Just nice. Okay, here it is in 2 bars. That's kind of cool, right? And then here it is and slowed down in 8 bars. Warning, time stretching to a certain point is going to make your sound file sound kind of ugh. Okay, so please be aware. Going on. Split to 4 bars and erase bar 2. Here we go. Should be easy. So I'm looking, here's 62 right here. Okay, so split. Here's 63, split. Here's 64, split. It also says erase bar 2. How do I do that? Well, there's an eraser. Or I could simply just click on bar 2 and hit delete, either way, but there's the tool for you. All right, going on. Split into 4 bars and mute. So back to my split tool again here. So split, split, and split. So there's my 4 bars. Mute bar 3. That's that mute tool again. All right, now what is this last one? Merge. So merge is something if you have a whole track going on and you're throwing pieces in here and there, but you want to export it not as every little bitty piece, but as one single file. Well, you can select them all like I just did. Notice I have my crosshairs here, and I'm on the multi-tool. I can also click on each. Let me do it the other way. Hold shift and click on each one. That's another way to do it. I'm more of a mouser myself like that. Now that they're all highlighted, I hit G for merge. And what it does is it puts it all into one event. So instead of a bunch of separate little events, now it's all one event. And yeah, you're going to have little spaces in there and stuff like that. That is some of the basics of how to audio edit really in any DAW. Again, the icons might look different, but the editing and the philosophy behind it is important to know, and you're going to use these kind of tools over and over again. One warning, if you're having to edit or what I say do surgery all the time, perhaps you need to go back and find another loop or re-record. It's going to take a lot less time if you can just record it and get it right in the first place. Okay, thank you. Hope you like this. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Have a good day.